Hi, it's Lou from Christian Faith and Fiction. I have a question for you. Do you like to make reading goals? I have a habit of making goals every January, end of December for the next year, and then not looking at them for the rest of the year and hoping that I've met them somehow subconsciously by the end of the year. So the goals for this year are going to be fairly short, but then I thought I would share with you the books on my bookshelves that I haven't yet read, so these is going to tie in with one of the goals as we're going along. So my goals, I've only got 3. First one is to read at least 40 books. I know that sounds not much to some people, maybe for some people it sounds like a lot, but I like to set mine at reasonable amounts that I don't put too much pressure on myself. So there's that one, and then I would like to read 6 to 12 non-fiction books next year. I am not so good at getting myself to read non-fiction, so I'm going to prioritise that. I have got some on my shelf, but I've also got eyeing up some audiobooks. I'm thinking maybe some books along the themes of prayer, because that's somewhere I'd like to grow. I've said it before in previous years, it's not my sort of, well, I've got room to grow in that area, I think. So maybe some books on prayer, and I'm going to look on audiobooks. If you've got any good suggestions of non-fiction, Christian non-fiction, or any interesting other non-fiction that you can recommend to me, I am not promising to read any of them, but I'd love to hear your suggestions because I'm looking for some. And then the third goal, it's going to be a really short video if it wasn't for all the rest of this video. Third goal is to read at least 12 books from my shelf that I already own. So I did do quite well last year and reading or DNFing books that I put on my list of books that I wanted to read through the year. So I'm going to try and continue doing that, and maybe not as many as last year because I like to pick up new releases as well. But I do want to be making progress with the books behind me, so we're going to have a look at those ones next. So behind me I have Christian fiction mainly books on this side of the bookcase. I've already started this one because this was our November book club pick, but I didn't get very far through it, and then I put it down to read Christmas books. So this is going to be a priority for January because I've already started it and I was kind of into it. So I want to get to that one, Christian historical fiction. And then there are 3 of these compilation ones. This is A Season to Wed by Rachel Hawke, Cindy Kirk and Cheryl Wyatt. One of them was a December story. Then there's January and February as well. Then in the same sort of vein there is, that's the spring one, Toss the Bouquet by Ruth Logan Hearn, Amy Mateo and Janice Thompson, and Kiss the Bride, Melissa McClone, Robin Lee Hatcher and Catherine Springer. These are all novella collections of Christian fiction, I think, and they go throughout the year. I've already read the autumn ones of this, so I thought it would be fun to read one a month of these books throughout the year. And then new releases from 2023 that I haven't read yet. Cloak of Scarlet by Melanie Dickerson. I forget which number we're up to on the Derricott Tales. This is, I think, Little Red Riding Hood retelling medieval one. A Beautiful Disguise by Roseanna M. White, the first book in the Imposters series. Again, historical Christian fiction with a private investigators, private spies sort of group. And then A Match in the Making by Jen Turano, the first book in the Matchmakers, Christian historical fiction, and it is set in Newport, Rhode Island, July 1st, 1888. That's where it starts. So yeah, I'd like to get to all of those ones, definitely near the beginning of the year. Those are my priority ones. And then some books I've had sat on my shelf for a while. I've got The Secret Life of Sarah Hollenbeck by Bethany Turner. This is obviously a used copy. Everyone might not be able to see it, it's quite battered. But I think Christian contemporary romance, to do with a writer who used to write steamy romance and then became a Christian, and then there's a conflict of what to do next with that one. There's The Cul-de-Sac War by Melissa Ferguson. I think some of originally her books were Christian fiction, but then they became more clean fiction as it went on, but a romance, contemporary romance. I'm not sure where that one falls. And then Hometown Girl by Courtney Walsh, Christian contemporary romance, I think. Then I have The Hidden Flame by Davis Bunn and Janette Oak, and The Damascus Way. And that's books 2 and 3 of Acts of Faith series. I read the first book years ago, and these ones have been sitting around for years, so probably overdue time to read those ones. I also have in biblical fiction A Woman of Words by Angela Hunt. I bought this because I really like her writing style. I enjoyed in the past, but this is following actual characters from the Bible, and I'm not overly keen on that nowadays. So I went to DNF it at one. I went to give it away at one point, but then I was like, oh no, it looks really nice, nice book. Maybe I'll try it again. So I need to read it again, start reading it again to see whether it's going to be something I'm going to be okay. I'm going to want to read or not. I can't decide with that one, so I need to pick it up and see before I give it away again. I've also got The Castle of Refuge by Melanie Dickerson. I think this is book 2 in the Derricott Tales. I missed this one out when I was going through reading them in order, so I need to get back and read that one. Then a couple of books that are Christian historical fiction, I think, that have been on my shelf for ages. This one is Shadowed by Grace by Cara C. Putman, and it is set during World War II, I think. I don't know hardly anything about it. It just says, I'll be seeing you in Italy. Story of Monuments Men. So, yeah. And The Butterfly and the Violin by Kristy Cambron. She's an author that I have enjoyed a lot of, and this is one of her earlier books set in the darkest corners of Auschwitz and the loneliest hearts of Manhattan. So I think it's a dual time period novel, wartime and modern day. And then I've got Just Let Go by Courtney Walsh. That I read the first one in this particular series in 2023, so I want to pick up the next one. I kind of bought these for the covers. This one is just beautiful, and I hope that I did quite enjoy the other one, and yeah, hoping it does have some Christian faith content in there as well as being contemporary romance. The Lost Heiress by Roseanna M. White, one of her earlier books that I picked up. Don't know much about it, but I think possibly one of the characters in this one turned up in one of the later books that I did read about. I'm not sure. So yeah, I've given her 5 stars for all the 4 books that I've read. I don't know how I'm going to feel about her earlier books, but hopefully I will like them just as much. And then I've got Till I Want No More by Robin W. Pearson. This is listed women's fiction, again a Christian fiction, a poignant debut that explores the faith of one African American family, a new voice in Southern inspirational fiction. So yeah, it's kind of out of my comfort zone a bit, that sort of genre of book, but yeah, I'd like to try out Robin's writing and see whether it's something I like. Beach Haven by T.I. Lowe. I picked this one up thinking it would be sort of a light contemporary romance, and I've heard since that this one's got quite a lot of sort of heavier topics included in it, so I think that's what's put me off picking it up. But I do want to pick it up and see whether I like her sort of style of books. It's like it's quite a small book compared to the other books, but I think the text is a little bit smaller, so that it might just be the way that it's been printed. But yeah, I'm interested to see how I get on with that one. This one, on the other hand, is a big book, Wishtress by Nadine. I have heard good things about it from other people, and I do want to pick it up at some time. It is a big old book though, so fantasy, which I do really love. When I love it, I really love it, and when other times I don't get on with it. So we'll see how that one turns out. Also in fantasy, I've got Bear Knight by James R. Hannibal, which is book 2 in the Light Raider Academy. I read the first book, Wolf Soldier. I think I gave that one 4 stars. It's young adult fantasy and Christian, I think. The first book I was listening to on audiobook and found some of it quite weird and strange to get my head around. So I'm wondering how I'll find reading an actual textbook. Maybe I'll find it easier. I managed to pick this one up quite cheaply, so I thought I will attempt the sequel and see how it goes, how it progresses. I am always looking for good Christian fantasy that doesn't have anything in it that I find problematic, so we'll see. And then finally, from this sort of half of the bookshelves, I've got You Belong With Me by Tari Faris. This is, I think, book 1 in the Restoring Heritage series. I read one of the later books, a Christmas one from this series, a Christmas novella, and I enjoyed that one. It's contemporary romance. I think it's Christian, but maybe more on the lesser side of Christian. I don't know. I'll have to see what this one is like, and I'll let you know if I've read it. Switching to the other side of the bookcase now. In terms of fiction books, I've got the 2 remaining books from the Wingfeather saga, The Monster in the Hollows, which is book 3, and they're quite chunky. The Warden and the Wolf King, which is book 4. That concludes the actual saga, I think. And then I've also got Wingfeather Tales, 7 thrilling stories from the world of Here We Are. It always makes me laugh. By Andrew Peterson, and yeah, I want to continue with this one. I really love book 2 I read this year. Maybe I'll complete and read both these books. They are quite chunky. What's the biggest one? Warden and the Wolf King is 493 pages. 493 pages, which for a middle grade book, which these are, it's pretty hefty. It's really heavy. But I do like these covers. Down here I've got my classics. I've read most of these before. I don't know if I've read The Secret Garden before. I know the story really well, but I can't remember if that's because I read the book or if it's just from the films and adaptations I've seen. So that, I haven't read it in this format though. And another one I definitely haven't read is Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery, and I like this book cover, but again, this version, it looks very chunky. It sort of is intimidating. 444 pages. Yeah, I don't know whether it's going to be something I'll pick up this year, but I've got it there when I feel like I'm in the mood for reading something like that. Finally, we've got non-fiction books. So I have picked up 2 commentaries on Philippians. I've been reading, studying the book of Matthew. Next, I'm going to pick up Philippians. So I've got the New International Biblical Commentary on Philippians by F.F. Bruce. and The Message of Philippians by Alec Mortier. These are two series which I have been getting on with quite well. They are slightly academic, but from a position of faith. So far anyway, the ones I've read from Matthew, they were very helpful. I didn't agree with everything in them, but they were still coming from a position of believing the Bible and not completely dismissing it, which a lot of academic commentaries can be. So yeah, I hope these will be in the same sort of vein as that and encourage my faith rather than be a battle reading them. I've got several C.S. Lewis books. I've got like a box set here, and some of them I haven't read yet. So I haven't read The Great Divorce or Miracles, Surprised by Joy or The Four Loves. I've so far had a hit and miss with C.S. Lewis non-fiction. Some of it I enjoyed and felt helpful. Some of it I found too abstract and philosophical. So we will see where those books fall in that spectrum. If you've read any of those books and can tell me what their sort of style is like, then please do tell me in the comments. I'd like to hear your opinions before I pick them up. I've got The Early Church from the Beginnings to 461 by W.H.C. Friend. This I think it might be slightly academic book, but I am quite interested to learn more about the early church and find out like what happened after the Bible was written up until like the end of the Roman Empire. I suppose that's when that was, somewhere around there. So I just think it'd be really interesting to know more about that time period. I don't know much about that time period of history, so that's something I'd be interested in reading. I feel like it could be quite dry and the text is absolutely tiny. Yeah, wow, I'm going to need some specs on for that one. Yeah, we'll see how I get on with that. I don't know about reading it all the way through in one go. Might have to take my time. On a completely different vein, I have Timmy Mallett, Utterly Brilliant, My Life's Journey. Now, this is published by SPCK, which is a Christian publisher. Timmy Mallett was a TV presenter when I was a child, so I remember him from children's TV, 80s, 90s time. So, yeah, I am kind of really fascinated to see whether he has a faith or not. It is him cycling along the Camino de Santiago. So he's doing a pilgrimage, cycling it, and also talking about his life. All of the like quotes on the front pages, all from like famous people and these newspapers in Britain. None of them I'm aware of are particularly Christian. Maybe one. So I don't know how much Christian content will be in that one. But it does interest me to know him as a personality, if you've ever seen him as a personality. He is also an artist, and he's just travelled around Britain painting pictures as he's been going over the whole of the coast. So I've been following that on Instagram. So yeah, I'll be interested to see what he has to say in that book. Last two books. One is Fresh Wind, Fresh Fire by Jim Zimbala, pastor of Brooklyn Tabernacle. This book I picked up because one of my pastors, Keith Tipple, recommended it to us when he was preaching, so I have no idea what it's going to be like, except that it's obviously to do with the Holy Spirit. What happens when God's Spirit invades the hearts of his people? He said it was encouraging, so I'm going to pick it up for that reason. And finally, I've got Just Leadership by Simon Barrington and Justin Humphreys, putting integrity and justice at the heart of how you lead. This one, again, I'm not totally sure what it's to do with other than justice and leadership and being a good leader. I know Justin Humphreys. He used to come to our church. He was in the same home group as me for a while. So I've known him in the past. He's now moved to a different part of the country. He heads, I think he is still the CEO of a charity that helps with safeguarding in churches, for safeguarding for children. and they work alongside survivors, victims of abuse. So I'm thinking this could be quite a heavy book, but I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be about. But I mean, I know the author, so that's why I picked that one up. Hey, it's editing me, so I just have another 3 books to add that I got in December to this list. One is The Huntress of Thornbeck Forest by Melanie Dickerson. This is not part of her series that I've read yet. There is like 3 that are separate, and I think that these 3 are adult books rather than young adult. I'm not sure about that, but still medieval fairy tale retellings, I think. And then Missing Pieces by Cynthia Hickey, Linda Baton Johnson, Teresa Eves Lilly and Janice Thompson. And I've read a collection by them before, and this was the previous year's one. It is 4 cozy mysteries to do with puzzles and jigsaw puzzles, I think. What could go wrong when jigsaw puzzle enthusiasts get together? So it sounds kind of fun and quirky. And then the last one, A Winter by the Sea by Julie Klassen, which is the second book in this On Devonshire Shores series. It's the series that's set like 30-minute drive away from me in the Regency period, and I am looking forward to continuing with this one, particularly as I recognise a lot of the places and have been there. So yeah, looking forward to continuing with the series. It's pretty chunky, this book, I think. 430 something pages, maybe. Yeah, so that'll be one to dive into and take my time over, I think. So full disclosure, I do have a few other books on my shelf in the other room, non-fiction, some of them historical sort of ones and secular ones, and some that are more sort of textbooky ones that you dip in and out of, some local history books, but I'm not going to get them out here because they're not going to be ones that I'm necessarily going to want to pick up in the next year. But yeah, just a handful of extra books really, 2 handfuls maybe, other books that I haven't fully read through. So let me know in the comments if you've read any of those books and if you can recommend them. Let me know which books you're planning to read next year, if you've got like a list of books that you think this is what I definitely need to read. And let me know if you've got any reading goals for 2024. I hope this has been interesting today. If you want to see any more videos about Christian fiction, you can watch this video over here. I hope you're having a really great reading week and Christmas time, and I hope you have a really good New Year's. And until next time, God bless.